It happened 3 seconds ago, a loud crack like a dry branch snapping, followed by a punch to the gut that felt less like a fist and more like a sledgehammer. You look down, your favorite shirt, the one you've been wearing for 3 weeks straight because laundry day, canceled by the apocalypse, is turning a dark, glossy red. You've been shot, the hospitals are gone, the doctors are either dead. Trading amoxicillin for canned peaches 3 towns over. The ambulance isn't coming. The only paramedic available is you. Let's be honest, your medical degree comes from watching action movies, where guys cauterize wounds with gunpowder and walk it off. If you try that today, you are going to die screaming. You have about 3 minutes to stop the bleeding before your brain shuts off the lights, so stop staring at the hole and listen. We are going to fix this using basic hydraulics, some dirty laundry, the uncomfortable biological reality of your own plumbing. The first thing you need to understand is the math of your own blood volume. You have about 5 liters of high-octane life fluid circulating through a pressurized system. If that bullet hit an artery, specifically the femoral in your leg or the brachial in your arm, you are losing that fluid at the rate of a garden hose. Turned on full blast, you don't have time to look for a first aid kit. You don't have time to boil water. You have time to apply pressure. Here is where most people screw up and turn a survivable injury into a funeral. You think pressing a rag on top of the hole does something? Doesn't. That is like trying to plug a bursting dam with a post-it note. You have to get inside the wound. This is going to hurt. And I don't mean it's going to sting. It is going to feel like digging your fingers into a wasp nest, but pain is just information. Right now, the information is that you are still alive. You need to jam gauze a ripped t-shirt or whatever sterile-ish fabric you have directly into the cavity. You pack it in tight until you can't pack anymore, filling the voids so the blood nowhere to go but to clot. You are building a cork out of fabric and flesh. Now let's talk about the tourniquet. The bleeding is on a limb and it's bright red and spurting. In time with your heartbeat, packing isn't enough. You need to shut off the main valve. Hollywood has lied to you. You cannot just take off your belt, cinch it tight, and save the day. A leather belt is too stiff, doesn't compress the tissue evenly, and it won't stop arterial flow. It just makes your leg numb. While you bleed to death internally, you need a windlass. That is a fancy word for a lever. You take a piece of cloth, a scarf, a sleeve, a torn strip, sheet, tie it loosely around the limb about 2 inches above the wound, never over a joint. Then you put a sturdy stick, screwdriver, or a wrench into the knot and you twist. You twist until the bleeding stops completely. Then you twist one more time just to be sure. It will be agonizing. You will want to scream. If it doesn't hurt, it isn't tight enough. Secure the stick so it doesn't unwind. Congratulations, you have just bought yourself about 2 hours before tissue damage becomes a serious problem. 2 hours is an eternity compared to the 3 minutes you had before. Let's address the elephant in the room, or rather the piece of lead in your body. Every movie you have ever seen shows the hero gritting his teeth while someone digs the bullet out with a knife, followed by a dramatic sound as it drops into a metal bowl. Do not do this. I repeat, do not go digging for the bullet unless the bullet is sitting right under the skin and looking at you. Leave it alone. The bullet has already done its damage. Digging around with a dirty knife, or even a clean one, just tearing up more muscles, severing more nerves, and introducing billions of bacteria into a deep cavity. You are not a surgeon, and this isn't an operating theater. It's a dirty basement. The heat of the shot sterilized the bullet on entry. Your fingers are covered in the grime of the wasteland. Leaving a piece of lead inside, you might cause issues down the road, but we are worried about surviving the next 24 hours. Lead poisoning takes decades. Bleeding out takes minutes. Prioritize the immediate threat. Another myth we need to burn to the ground is cauterization. You have seen it 1,000 times. Pour some whiskey on the wound, light some gunpowder. Sear the flesh shut. This is possibly the stupidest thing you can do. Third-degree burns are prone to infection. Cooked tissue is a buffet for bacteria. When you burn a wound, you seal the infection inside and destroy the body's ability to heal the edges. Pour some whiskey on the wound, light some gunpowder, and sear the flesh shut. This is possibly the stupidest thing you can do. Third-degree burns are prone to infection. Dead cooked tissue is a buffet for bacteria. When you burn a wound, you seal the infection inside. Destroy the body's ability to heal the edges. You are literally cooking your own meat for the microbes. Do not use fire. Do not use gunpowder. While we are at it, stop pouring high-proof alcohol directly into deep wounds. It kills healthy tissue and delays healing. Alcohol is for cleaning the tools and cleaning the skin around the wound, or for drinking to forget. You are currently sewing yourself back together. It is not for pouring into the hole, so the bleeding has stopped. You haven't dug for the bullet. You haven't set yourself on fire. Now you have a new enemy. It's small, invisible, and it has killed more soldiers in history than machine guns ever did. Infection. In a collapse scenario, antibiotics are going to be worth more than gold. Just as hard to find. If you have them, great. If you don't, you need to get medieval. We are going back to the year 1400. If the wound is clean but deep and you have absolutely no medical supplies, you look for sugar or honey. Really, bacteria need water to survive. Sugar and honey are hygroscopic. They draw water out of the cells. If you pack a wound with sugar or honey, it creates an environment so dehydrated that bacteria literally explode. It's called osmotic pressure, and it is a brutal weapon. Infection, it has to be real sugar, not artificial sweetener, and real honey, not corn syrup. Pack it, wrap it. Change it daily. It's sticky, it's messy, and it works. Now let's talk about the tampon myth. Somewhere on the internet, someone told you that a tampon, the perfect fit for a bullet wound. It sounds logical. It plugs a hole, it absorbs blood. Wrong. A tampon is designed to absorb blood, not stop it. Acts like a wick pulling blood out of the wound. You want to stop the flow, not sponge it up. Sticking a tampon in a bullet wound is just an efficient way to drain your tank faster. Stick to hemostatic gauze or high-density cloth packed tight. We want pressure, not absorption. Once the plumbing is patched, you have to deal with the shock. Don't mean emotional shock, though you'll probably have that too. I mean circulatory shock. Your body has lost fluid. It is panicking. It pulls blood away from your skin to keep your heart and brain alive. You will get cold even if it is 90 degrees out. You will start shivering. This hypothermia interferes with your blood's ability to clot. A death spiral. The colder you get, the thinner your blood gets. The more you bleed, the colder you get. You need to stay warm. Wrap up in blankets, get off the cold ground, put on a hat. If you can drink, sip warm water. Do not chug. Vomiting right now would cause a pressure spike that could pop your clots loose and start the whole nightmare over again. Let's discuss the exit wound. If you are lucky, there isn't one. The bullet stayed inside, dumped all its energy into you, but didn't open a second door. There is an exit wound. It's going to be bigger and messier than the entry wound. Physics is cruel as the bullet travels through you, tumbles, and creates a cavitation wave. The exit hole can be the size of a fist. You have to treat both sides. Check your back, check your armpit. Gravity pulls blood down, so you might be pooling underneath where you can't see it. If you patch the front and leave the back open, you are just leaking out the rear exit plug. Every hole you find. Pain management in the apocalypse is a joke. You aren't going to find morphine. You might find some old aspirin or ibuprofen. Avoid aspirin. It's a blood thinner. It makes platelets slippery. Taking aspirin for a bleeding wound, like greasing the slide. Stick to Tylenol or ibuprofen if you have it. If not, you are going to have to embrace the suck. The pain tells you that your nerves are still working. It's a miserable reassurance. But it's better than numbness. Usually means nerve damage or that the limb is dying if your toes turn blue or cold below the tourniquet. You have a decision to make. You can loosen the tourniquet slightly to let some blood in, knowing you might bleed out. Can keep it tight and accept that you might lose the leg to save the life over limb. That is the rule. You can survive with a peg leg. You cannot survive without a pulse. Let's move to the days after the golden hour is over. You are in the long wait. Sepsis is the ghost that haunts the wounded. Watch for the red streaks running up the limb from the wound. The infection hitting the highway of your lymphatic system, heading straight for your heart. If you see those streaks, you don't have antibiotics, you are in trouble. This is where the desperate measures come in. Garlic. Raw garlic has mild antibiotic properties. Eating it won't save you from gangrene, but crushing it and applying it near, not inside, the wound might help. But honestly, if you hit the sepsis stage without modern medicine, start writing your will. Your best bet is to keep that wound clean from minute one. So you never get here. Boil your bandages, boil your water. Wash your hands with ash and water. If you don't have soap, lye from wood ash is a primitive soap. It burns, but it cleans. Rehabilitation is going to be DIY. You won't have a physical therapist telling you to do stretches. You will have stiff scar tissue and muscle atrophy. Once the wound is closed and scabbing, you have to move it. It will hurt. If you don't move it, the scar tissue will freeze. The muscle like concrete, you will end up with a useless claw. Instead of a hand massage, the scar stretch the limb. You are breaking down the adhesions. It is tearing microscopic fibers. To build flexibility, you are sculpting your own recovery through pain. Finally, consider the psychological warfare of being the wounded gazelle. In a lawless world, a bandage is a billboard that says easy target. You are moving, cover it up, don't limp if you can help it. If you look weak, the predators will circle. You need to project strength even when you are holding your insides together. Duct tape and hope. Use a walking stick, but make it look like a weapon, not a crutch. Keep your face stoic. Never let them see you sweat. Dehydration is already an issue and you can't spare the water. Surviving a bullet wound without a hospital isn't about being a hero, about being a plumber, a janitor, and a stubborn biological machine. It's about understanding that your body is just a bag of pressurized fluid, electricity, and your job is to keep the fluid inside. And the electricity on. You don't need to be pretty. You don't need to be comfortable. You just need to be stubborn enough to refuse to die today. The scar you get from this won't be a cool story. For a while, it will be a map of the worst day of your life. But a map is useless if you aren't around to read it. So pack the wound, twist the stick, eat the sugar, and stay warm. The world might have ended, but your shift isn't over yet.